what did you find most interesting in Dave's class, of course, this semester?
It was probably the session that we had about the digital economy. I mean, I really didn't like that reading at all. I had never read that stuff, but I hated that one reading. But in class, Dave showed this picture of these people in China, I think it was, at computers, and he asked people, what do you think this is? And people were guessing, like, oh, it's a computer lab at a college, it's, a library, and it's actually people at computers making money for a company that sells fake gold on World of Warcraft to World of Warcraft players who want to buy the gold for real money. So these Chinese workers just sit there for 12 hours a day killing monsters on World of Warcraft to earn gold and then to sell it to World of Warcraft players who will buy this virtual gold. So I guess that was what was really surprising to me, is that you never think about the fact that it takes resources and money and humans behind everything on the internet to make it happen. And even though that's an extreme case, that just kind of blew my mind, is that there is a digital economy. So.
And what shocked you the most?
From the class, the class structure. I guess just I had never had an undergraduate emerging media class since I came to it after I graduated college. So it was surprising to me to see teenagers, because you hear all the time how teenagers, they know how to use everything.
We're always on the web, yeah.
Yeah. Anything they will know 10 times more about. They're very tech fluent. So it was interesting to me to see some of the responses from students who weren't really aware of a lot of the software and social media tools, and just websites out there that they really should know about. So I think that was definitely a benefit of the class for me and for students. So.
And what would you, I guess, change or would have liked to see differently, maybe for the next semester? Next time this is taught?
Yeah, well, we were kind of talking about that in Dan's class a little bit last week, just the idea of as the program matures a little bit, because I know it is just a little bit over a year old. I think as the program matures, maybe it would be better to do a more comprehensive look at the curriculum for the program and try to coordinate some of the classes better, because I know some of the content was crossing and just having a lot of similar assignments. So some people had a hard time deciding if they should have Dan's blog and Dave's blog separate or keep them together. So I think in the coming years it would be good to kind of coordinate the content and figure out what each class is supposed to do, and then make sure that it's doing that, so you can just kind of progress through it and not feel like you're, because you sent out a tweet I think today where you're what's going on with this class, do I just keep repeating it, it just changes.
So would I guess your idea be try to separate everything so they don't overlap, or maybe have one thing that would actually feed into this? So you're making a blog and you're writing and they both kind of tie in?
Yeah, maybe to have where you're maybe something like that where the classes would be linked. So Dave and Dan's class, something like that, those would be linked where the readings are similar and the topics, the units or whatever for the semester are aligned. But you're keeping maybe one blog for that class, an emerging media blog on emerging media issues, and then the assignments would be different.
Okay.
Maybe something like that where it's linked, like a pair class. Yeah.
Okay.
My vision for my educated vision for the emerging media program.
So Sage, what was the most interesting thing you learned this semester?
I think the most interesting thing that I learned was all about the panopticon and the nanopticon. I really like learning about that because it was something I hadn't really thought about, and just all of that stuff with kind of the psychological idea of surveillance society. I thought it was really cool that not only the internet but also other technologies are trying to get you to think. It's they're trying to get you to think that you're being watched, so whether or not you actually are or not, you're kind of surveilling yourself.
Always thinking you're being watched.
Yeah, so I had just never really thought about it in those terms, and I can always considered I live in the United States and we don't do surveillance, but it's weird that you're kind of trained to have this idea, and I know that I do it. I kind of watch what I do on the internet, even though I don't know that I'm being watched, but it's it's just out there. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, one of the most interesting assignments we had, I think, was our challenge to read The Great Seduction by Andrew Kane in 40 minutes of silence. So we were supposed to turn off our cell phones, no talking, no radio, no TV, no distractions, and just read for 40 minutes straight. And if you finished, you just read it again for the 40 minutes. And I found that it was a lot easier to get through, and I read it faster than I would have.
Probably the censorship that we had covered. I didn't realize, I guess, the extent to which China went to I guess, make sure that what they wanted to be on the internet was on the internet. It is also really interesting to have Kim come in and give us her perspective, actually experiencing the censorship, through her studies and stuff, being over there in China.
The most interesting, I would say, is the privacy and how the companies are tracking it and how they're using it without us really even knowing or even caring.